Hello there. So it is me. It is me. And you are someone and I'm someone else. And today I'm going to talk about something that I found that was disturbing by somebody who I just talked about in the last video. He read about it and it's about unrealized capital gains. They're going to tax each capital gains at a 1% rate, but they didn't sell. Now, 1% to 15%, depending on how much you have, I think, is what I read in the bill. I'm not 100% certain. But this is extremely immoral for many reasons, right? What's the incentive for somebody to hold a stock? What's the incentive for someone to own something that produces something else? You know what I mean? If you have cash sitting there, you're not really producing a whole lot. And maybe it is supposed to get billionaires to, because this is mainly a tax on billionaires. Mainly, it's supposed to get the billionaires to be more responsible for a year, because if it's permanent, it will crash the market for a very long time. I can see how this could be a huge market crash, um, and this is going to be a bad problem. If this is a continuous bill that will last forever, the Inflation Reduction Bill, I'm just laughing at how bad this is going to get. If what it says on the bill is going to happen, I don't see any way that this could hurt. This is going to help the economy. I see the opposite. I'd say I think this is the opposite of inflation. This is going to cause massive supply chains when billionaires, don't invest in their companies. We need capital for our companies, and this is going to bleed to the billionaires. The billionaires are going to pay the tax. Then the billionaires are going to flee. They're going to take the money out of the market or flee the U.S. If this is a permanent thing, if this is a temporary thing, they may not flee the U.S. They might just maybe influence the politics a little bit. Either way, that's besides the point. This is going to be but this temporary thing could be a clog, and then eventually it bleeds down to consumers and then employees. And I can't see this going. This can't go good. This is going to be really bad. But I mean, again, I would not change anything because of this. Don't. I expected the 2020s to be the first 5 years of the 2020s. I expected this to be a transition period because of the demographics of the United States. Demographics of the United States we're top capacity right now. The baby boomers are gonna have they have the top amount of money they're ever gonna make, and we're at the peak consumerism for millennials. So in the next 6 months, you're gonna see that slow down, and hopefully that doesn't ruin opportunities for young people like me. But I think there'll be plenty because there will always be need trade jobs. There'll always need people like me who are willing to work hard. We need people who work hard. But that's the thing is like this reduction inflation bill is going to be it's going to be crazy because I can't imagine that I owned a stock, right, and they would tax me on the unrealized capital gains. That's immoral. They're just stealing from you. I can't see that being a moral thing in our country. But the fact that it's going to be a federal thing, if it actually comes into fruition, I can't see very many people acting positively to that. That's stealing. Somebody worked hard to invest that money, and you're going to take from them. That's immoral. And I just don't see this going very well. I think what they're trying to do is we're trying to make the world less financial, trying to have less financial incentives for politicians and billionaires and things like that. Although politicians are the ones making laws, so probably not the politicians. But I'm like, Berkshire Hathaway is going to pay so much more tax than every other company because of this. Their unrealized capital gains on the other stocks. This is going to be really bad. If what's going to happen, if it happens to Berkshire Hathaway, it will bleed into other companies, guaranteed. And the U.S. was pretty safe before this bill. But now because of this bill, now that they've legalized theft, pretty much, sometimes the thieves win, and you have to accept it. But I don't really change my investing philosophy based on this. So I would just say continue doing what you're doing. But it is fascinating to me that we've really we're lazy. It's more laziness than uh just like the politicians. Yes, know that they know they're stealing, but the people are so lazy they don't care and they don't know about this, and so nobody talks about this. Nobody in the news is talking about it, and so that's why I wanted to make a video about it. You could have a little outrage or spark some debate on it. I'm not gonna be outraged because honestly, it's a temp job. All politicians are temp jobs to me. I think that every politician comes in every 6 years. They get reelected or they get out. There's another politician. It's a temp job. If you have a continuous stream of terrible people, no matter how many times you elect someone or elect different people, they're all going to be terrible. So the American population's lazy. It's electing lazy people. So you see that demographic of people entering Congress. So it's the it's the entitlement. If you see the entitlement culture, and especially in China too, you're seeing it in China as well. You're seeing how a bunch of these college educated Chinese people think that they can just get government jobs, but there's not a huge demand for them, unlike the trade jobs. And so you're starting to see that we need certain things in the economy no one is willing to do, but they all want the cushy jobs, but the economy doesn't demand that. And the pay is going to get lower and lower, or they're just going to cut people out of the employment stats. And it's going to be very strange, but that's besides the point. This is why I'm a theoretical economist. I look at things and I see that this is. I think the next 10 years are going to be a learning curve. Hopefully, we learn from our history. We should learn from history, but we clearly have not. Um, this is how empires fall. And to see that we haven't learned from history and to see that we are starting to do what other countries have done, like Venezuela has done this, I think, in some ways, this is kind of scary to think about. If this gets so bad, I could move. I could end up moving to an entirely different land. I'm not going to do that yet because I don't have the resources nor the capability. I mean, I have the capability to learn a different language. I have my brother who knows many languages, but that's besides the point, right? If I wanted to, if this gets bad enough, I mean, I'll move out into the middle of the desert in the U.S. I really don't care if these people are going to be so lazy. I'm going to isolate myself away from these people who elected these politicians who are just so corrupt and whatever. But they don't. They're probably so lazy. No, half of them didn't vote. So I mean, I voted, but again, I'm sure that some of the people I voted for probably made this bill pass. Maybe. Although I was in a different state at the time when I was voting. Either way, I always vote for the more economically conservative people. I don't like people who pass bills like this. This is unnecessary, and it's called an inflation reduction bill, but it raises inflation. Like theoretically, this should not work. There is no way that this bill is going to lower inflation. I mean, if you look at it, it basically lowers the supply chain, regardless of what side you're looking at. This is going to be really bad. And after looking at this, the politicians have no idea what they're doing. Congress doesn't really have. There are a bunch of people who were rich their entire lives. Their parents gave them everything. They went to college, and then they're making policies on people who work like me at an Amazon. I work at a warehouse, a dirty old Amazon warehouse, or well, it's new actually, but I work at an Amazon warehouse. I don't really care. I mean, I shouldn't care who the president is. He shouldn't really. Honestly, I don't think people should care who the president is. They don't represent you anymore. They represent what the entitlement of the entitled class of the U.S. Someone who borrows debt for a car and doesn't pay it back, and then of course, they're not billionaires. They can't just live off their cash flow. But you see the entitlement even if they don't have billions of dollars. And so it is fascinating to me seeing that like everyone's entitled in this country. There's not really they're entitled and lazy. There's not really a mix. I mean, you see with immigrants, they are the most hardworking, the nicest. I love honestly talking to people from outside the U.S. is so refreshing. Immigrants are our biggest contributing in our economy, and without them, we would be in a really bad spot. And then you got people like me who are I grew up in all sorts of different environments in the U.S. I moved around, so it is fascinating to see different places and looking at like California is going to be a model example of what's going to happen.